Hello, hello,
This is the podcast, girls.
and the city. You are welcomed by your two lovely co-hosts, me, Susanna, who is continuing on her mattress stain from the last week, and the conclusion is apparently all you need is a good coat and wait, and the stain disappears on its own.
I'm gonna need to understand that in a minute. But anyways, and Elizabeth, who, yeah, is still actively trying to figure out her life, but at the same time was reflecting earlier and I was thinking about it. I think, 15-year-old self would be actually pretty impressed and pretty proud. So I think it's coming along nicely. But anyways, this is the podcast Girls in the City, and every week we watch an episode of Sex in the City. We discuss like what are the main questions. We try to answer them. We try to go out, draw some conclusions, as well as sprinkle in some of our personal experience, giving it a modern twist. So, can
All
you please
right.
explain to me the whole coat thing? Because I thought a matcha stain is like very green,
Yeah.
especially on your light colored clothing that you love.
Well, it is very green. When I initially, made this beauty on my coat, I was like, oh crap, I need to wash it. But I was running late for a meeting, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then I came back home and I couldn't find the stain. And I was
Did
like,
it just like dissolve into the coat?
I
Has the
think
coat
that,
eaten the matcha?
yeah, like I think it's the material of the coat is made in a way that basically stains become less visible, or like it's also like it
Is it
doesn't
wool?
soak. No, it's like a
Okay.
trench coat. Like it
Oh,
also doesn't soak water as easily. And I have no clue what the hell happened, but it's like I couldn't find it. And I
okay.
was like, oh, okay. Then I see some white, like, remains of a stain. And I'm like, I think that's that. But basically, you can't see it. So I have a magic coat. Now I just need to understand how to make me disappear in it. And I can be Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. I don't know, or just better like matcha holder cups, like like something that will actually hold the drink inside.
Well, the problem was the drink was inside and I had the cup top on it. But I
Yeah.
was running and it splashed out of the tiny thing through
Oh,
which you drink.
okay. Never mind. Yeah, that can't be
Yeah,
helped.
I can manage still with the top on the cup. So
That's wild. Anywho, how have you been? How was your week besides your matcha saga continuing?
ooh. I have been good. The weather in London has been amazing. It's been quite warm, very sunny, and it's gonna continue like that. So that in
That's when
itself makes
London
my
keeps you
day.
delusional. Like, and that's when you're like, oh, London is perfect. It's the most amazing city in the
Exactly.
world.
No, I mean I still think that, but when it's a nice weather, also you're like, I don't want to be anywhere else. Like
Yeah,
it's
no, I
just
get
it's
that.
just great. So that were exactly my thoughts. I'm like, this is the best city in the world. Like
Yeah. No, it does that.
so yeah, that helped me a lot this week. And then I met some friends, had good chats. I think that I'm a much more leaning towards relationships and talking about that with anyone now, just purely because we are talking about it on a weekly basis, but
Talk
also
about it all the
b
time.
it's always good for content.
Yeah.
You never know when something will be useful to throw in, as I've heard from someone. So yeah, and the only thing that is kind of bothering me, and it's I would say, a con of beautiful weather in spring, is the allergy time. I have
Yep.
been, and I'm not sure if this is a direct result of this or not. Still to be concluded. But I haven't really been sleeping well in the past days.
Really?
Sorry.
Just like waking up
Like,
or like can't stay asleep? I guess that's the
Um,
same thing, but
both, but yeah, mostly like I would wake up a lot during the night
mm,
and not really have deep sleep. Sometimes, I
I
don't know
had
if
that a
this
little bit
happened to you
too.
before, but I can do deep, like heavy thinking while I sleep. I literally would start think and create and kind of like solve problems.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's like a ton of books on it. Like one of them was called like Why We Sleep. I don't know if that's where this thought came from, but it's just like sleep is like you're basically a, when you're restarting a computer and it does like all the processing, the repiling, all
Yeah.
these things, like it does a full reset and like it puts away all the information that you've gathered in a day and like it's your little folders and it starts to like process information during the night, which is crazy. But I think that may be related to that. I was like, yeah, you have like problems for the day that you almost like have solutions for at night.
No, but that's different because I know I think there's a book called Why We Sleep or something
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah. That's
and
the one.
they
Yeah.
explain it there. But this is more if I kind of don't switch off and then I would continue thinking as I would do during the day and I would wake
Oh,
up
interesting.
really
Okay.
tired because I would not let my mind to rest and reset, but I would continue thinking, trying hard, but sleeping, and I would just wake up and be feeling really tired as a result of it. And this happened to me specifically before when I had big exams, like in the high school or at the uni. I would continue answering questions in my mind
Yeah,
as I
you
was
almost can't turn
sleeping.
it off.
Exactly. So that's what happened to me last night, and I was just like, crap. Not only I can't sleep properly, but now I'm also continuing to think about stuff. I just let me sleep. I can't do naps, That already is a problem for me. So I want to sleep when I actually make myself to finally sleep. So I'm a little bit tired, but I think today I'm gonna catch up. So yeah, all good. What about you?
I mean, sleep's
And
pretty important.
also, please bring up the story that Elizabeth showed me just before we press record
What's
about
that
her
show?
missing page in a notebook.
No, it was from last weekend, like when I was on my not like messy night out. But the thing is, like last weekend was so weird because some of my friends decided to like not drink for a little while, and so like they just get high when we go out. And so we're like on such different wavelengths within a friend group.
Wait, is that illegal in Washington?
No, it's not.
Or,
It's decriminalized here.
oh,
It's
so
legal here.
so you so you can. Okay,
You
so I
can.
don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
beep
yeah.
it out.
No, 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 no. So we were on such different wavelengths because we were my friends, like not my friends, my friend's coworker's birthday, right? And so like I was just having drinks, maybe a couple too many. It was like chaotic, but I don't know. Like I think at some point, yeah, I looked back at my notebook and like I ripped out a portion of the page. I think I tried giving someone my number.
You think
I
you
think.
tried, so
I
you don't
think.
remember?
I mean, I do remember doing it. I don't remember who it was. I don't know if I actually ended up giving it to them. I think at some point I just decided not to. And I
But
think I
listen,
thought
when you have a pen, why you just don't write it on their hand like all
that's not
times?
reliable. I don't know. I don't know.
And
I
then
don't know
giving
what
a bit,
like
like giving a bit of paper is more reliable.
I don't know. Okay, anyways, that happened.
Love
Um
it, love it.
yeah. So that was that. But that was last weekend. This week, what have I been doing? I've been mostly working, as always. There's been a lot of work recently. How dare they?
I can confirm that Elizabeth has been very quiet.
She asked me if I'm okay because she basically like I hope it's work and I think it's work, but like why are you not responding? That's been every single one of my friends lately. To a point
Okay.
that like I really need like an auto reply being like I'm fine, I'm just busy. I will get back to you at some point.
I
Um,
think it's actually what you have on WhatsApp, something along these lines.
I literally have it like I'm slow to reply. Call me if it's urgent, which is true.
Yeah, the girl is
Yeah.
busy.
So I am. And it's like, and the thing is, like, my apartment's not fully unpacked, and I've got a housewarming party next weekend, so it's like I've got that to do as well, which I'm really excited for. I'm like, I think this apartment's really cute, and I'm excited to have some of my close friends over. We've even selected like what signature cocktail we're gonna make for the night.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, because
Tartini
my
or whatever the name was from this
tartini
episode.
from this
You should
episode, yeah,
you should literally make
I should
this one.
try.
Yeah. It was
Well, that's the thing.
cranberry
Well,
vodka or something? No,
I
wait, that's
think it was like
cosmopolitan.
clayberry flavored vodka that they had, but they had to mix with something else. I don't know if they actually even make those. We can look that up.
I have never
But
seen this drink.
I'm not either. I don't think it really exists except for this
But I
episode.
think ChatGPT probably knows the recipe,
Oh
so
yeah, for sure we can find it. Um, But anyways, yeah, yesterday there was like at the Ned in DC, there was a terrace party that they were opening up the terrace and they had like a cute vibey like house DJ. It was really nice.
Nice.
So my friends and I went up there, had some lunch, amazing sushi, like the best sushi in DC, honestly.
No
It's
way.
definitely pricey, but it's so worth it. It's so good.
Now, when you say pricey, do you mean the net or you mean the sushi?
Like both. Like sushi at the Net is naturally going to be pricey. And then I did my like induction there, and it was cute because they gave me a cute little like box with a card holder and a little umbrella.
Oh.
So I got like Ned swag now, but I also met some people there. Everyone is definitely older. I met some like really nice women who we were chatted with. One of them was like, "I recognize you from somewhere," and I was like, "You probably don't." She's like, "Where
Oh,
do you
come
work?" And
on.
I
No,
don't think like they actually like.
I think she knows from the podcast.
I'm sure we're so big at this point. Um, and I was like, yeah, but like I'd love to see you at some of the events because they have like art events, so I'm really excited to go to those. Yeah, they basically gave us like a breakdown of all the rules and stuff, and that was kind of it. They had like champagne and snacks. It was cute. But my friend and I really want to go back today, probably to do just like some journaling and scrapbooking at the Ned, because it's such a nice space.
It
And
is.
so
I
like
mean,
it's
the one
beautiful.
in London is beautiful, so I just
It's
assume
beautiful,
everywhere
but
else
there's
is
like
nice as well.
no. I still have to figure out in London, but I didn't see any common spaces where you can just sit and chill and just chat because it's more of like restaurant bar based. I think in London, because the one here, it's more of like come relax, enjoy the music that plays every night, enjoy like the library, and just like have a drink and sit in a really comfortable chair. And I love those kinds of things. I finally found out where I can use my laptop there, so I think I'm gonna do like work from home day from the Ned days. And they got little phone booths
Cool.
as well, so I
You
can do my
should
phone
you
calls.
shouldn't do a next episode in the net, so
I
you can
should
show
at the
us.
Ned, yeah, yeah. Though they have like a pretty strict no cameras policy, but we'll figure out how to do that.
No way,
Um,
really?
no, they're super strict. I think it's because it's DC and like a lot of the members that they're expecting are going to be working in the government and things like that, and like
I
celebrities.
see.
And so because of that, they're very strict about it.
Celebrities.
I mean,
Are you
they're
hoping to
not
meet one?
celebrities that I know. I went with a friend and like, oh, that's a famous sports commentator, and I was like, I wouldn't know. Like honestly, wouldn't
You
know,
just
couldn't care
reminded
less.
me. You just reminded me one thing I saw today on social media that be happy that
What?
you are single. That means that you still can marry rich.
Okay, but that's when in my mind I've got Cher's quote was like her mother told her to like marry a rich man, and she was like, "But mom, I am the rich man," and I like that's my vibe.
Well, I think it kind of nicely tied to the episode that we are going to discuss
Exactly,
today.
exactly. But I'm trying to
Not
think of
that this
anything
was planned.
else. Not this was planned. Yeah, so that was that. That was pretty much my, I'd say, weekend. What else are we doing? We're gonna go see some flowers today, honestly. Because the
Flowers.
blossoms are beautiful. Yeah, like
You mentioned it
everything.
last week, I think.
Well, since last week has actually been kind of crazy. We had a huge rainstorm, so all the official cherry blossoms are down, like they're gone. And then there is like
Oh,
the ones that bloom later are now around, and those are nice. Um, but should we start with the episode?
beautiful.
Anything else to catch
Yeah.
up on? I guess it's my turn to give a summary. I've kind of
Yes.
prepared it. I'm really bad at giving summaries, as you guys have
No
noticed.
way! You prepared this time.
I mean, I watched the episode more recently than I usually do. Anyways, first of all, the name of the episode, like in current times in America, is a little touchy. So we're on season
Fair.
2, episode 4, and the name is They Shoot Single People, Don't They? And I was like, that's a bit of a sensitive topic in modern day America. Anywho, this is the episode where, like, actually, at the start of the episode, I loved, and I started watching it with my friend because she was also working from home with me on Friday. And we were just like watching it at the end of the day. And it was such a wholesome moment of like all the girls are single at the same time. They're going out to this bar. They're all dancing, having an absolutely great time. There is this, I'm guessing he's the bar owner, dude that
Yeah.
comes over to Samantha and was like, "Oh, would you like to dance?" Like, and she's like, "No, no, no, I'm with the girls."
I
And so my
love
friend,
that.
yeah, my friend Olivia was like, "I could never have that self restraint," and I was like, "No, that would be me all the time. Like, I'm not gonna ditch the girls to like to dance with some guy." Um,
Depends on the
just like
guy.
I mean, yeah, but I love Samantha's move of like, hey, I'm busy tonight, but if you want to grab
Yeah.
my number, please do. I would opt in for that method there. But anyway, so like we have the girls having a great time. Samantha gave this guy her number. He gave her his card. Then it turned into Carrie being like, I've got to go soon because I have an early morning because she has this photo shoot that she's doing about New Yorkers who are single and fabulous. So she is like honored to be part of like this group of people that they're trying to highlight. And it turns out that they actually end up staying a lot later, and she essentially makes her way over home early in the morning. And then she's trying to stay awake because she's like, yeah, a way to not look like you've just woken up from like a night out is just to stay awake. And then at some point I think she just crashes and falls asleep.
I don't know which one is worse or better, like staying up or like taking a nap.
Taking a quick cat nap. Yeah, I would do a quick cat nap, but I also don't think she's an alarm kind of girl.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it based on the episode.
No. Anyways, but she wakes up from an angry phone call from Stanford telling her that she's about 40 minutes late. And she's like, I'll be there in 20. She shows up at the photo shoot, all disheveled. And she's like, I'm so sorry I couldn't catch a cab. And then he's like, you're about a fucking month late. Which I relate to so hard.
I have not worked in fashion and I don't really know closely anyone, but I think this is quite on point. Like, people can be savage there, probably.
Oh, no, for sure. It's very cutthroat from what I know. So, yeah, and she shows up to this photo shoot. They're doing some test shots, and she's like, oh, there's going to be, like, makeup, right? And then, like, she's smoking a cigarette at this point, having her coffee that Stanford just brought her. And then we don't see really the rest of it. It's almost like they didn't do the rest of the shoot, because she was like, oh, yeah, where's the makeup and everything? But then they come out with the magazine, and it's savage to a point. So this is the New Yorker, which is a pretty big magazine in New York in general and around the US. And it's her test photo of her like making a face and smoking a cigarette with single and fabulous question mark. And then she makes a huge thing of it because
it's like on the cover as well.
It's on the cover. You're a columnist who literally your job is media. Like I oh my god, it was so cringe.
I mean, I get it from their point of view. This was a great marketing move, but for her, it looked bad. The picture looked bad.
No, for sure, and it's like they also mentioned that it's like a cautionary tale scaring women into marriage, which is, I think, such an interesting like intro and just throws you into the episode because it almost wants to project this fear of being single. But I'm going to pin that and continue on to telling the summary before I digress.
Keep the summary.
Anyways, so then we have the girls sitting at brunch as always, discussing this, being like, this is absolutely like slander, this is awful. And then they're asking Miranda if they can sue for this, and she's like, sue for what? Punctuation? Like, so that was really funny. But based on that conversation at brunch, I think they all had like their own specific takeaways around it because they had a shot of Miranda, Charlotte, and Carrie going out like speed walking in the park. They run into a guy that I think Miranda used to hook up with, and he's trying to like hit her up again, and she basically explained that she is like a guy that she slept with in the past and like faked orgasms with. And after the conversation, they all took away that Miranda ends up calling up the guy again. Charlotte then starts showing more interest or realizes she has interest in her handyman that lives in the building. And then Samantha like starts taking dancing lessons with the bar owner. And so like all of them kind of almost their fear of maybe being alone gets resurfaced, I think. And it like plays out in their own separate ways. And then we have like a strange episode with Samantha being stood up by the guy because previously he was like, oh, we're gonna go to my house in the Hamptons. Oh, we're gonna do this. We. And she liked that, but I think she was also a little cautious of that because she's, in the past, relationships are not really her thing, and she's also never had guys that were so ready to jump into like a relationship like that. But there was like the scene where he just basically stood her up on the date, never showed, and she's kind of left there alone, as Carrie mentioned, alone in a restaurant without any hobbies or a book. Which is, a harsh one. And then we go on to Carrie, who then realizes, no, she is so fabulous, and she goes out with Stanford, which is where we see their tartini thing come in, because I think they're trying out this new drink and this new launch party. And then Carrie gets, carried away, and Carrie gets carried away, a little bit into like
Name on spot.
thank you. Um, at a club at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, and then Stanford's like, "You've had too much," and then he ends up leaving, and then she basically ends up like making out with I think is Bradley Cooper, which I
Yes,
realized
I mean, like, there's so many famous people
that like
in this
just come in and
series.
out. Yeah. It's so
Yeah,
funny, but I think it's before he was big. So like, wow, a young Bradley Cooper, definitely
looking
notable.
good.
Good. Anyways, and then he picks up her magazine on their way to his place. It's a really awkward moment, because she's just like, I just want to leave, like I don't want to do this. And so she does, and I think at the end of the episode we see that yeah, Charlotte also realizes she's not really in love with this man. Like she can fake the relationship, but she can't fake the affection there. Same thing with Miranda. She's like, I can fake the orgasm, but like there's just nothing between, there's no connection between the two of them. And then Samantha obviously, yeah, settles, I think, on her life, being like, I am who I am, single and fabulous. Like just because a man decided to like play a relationship, it does not have a reflection on me. And Carrie as well. Like the closing episode is also, not the closing episode, the closing scene is also
Don't
very nice
spoil.
of like,
Don't spoil.
okay, fine. I just a wholesome piece of it. All right. But the main question was, where did I have written down? Okay. Yeah, the one I got is like, is it better to fake it than be alone? Essentially.
Yes, good.
There were like a
Good one,
series of
because
questions that she was leading up to.
yeah, there were many questions in
Yeah,
this episode.
there were many questions, which are, I think, I actually like these ones. I
Yeah.
like the levels and like unpeeling the onion a little bit here, than we have in the past episodes, I'd say. This is definitely a notable one. But
Yeah.
yes, all right, where do you want to jump in?
So I would just like, before we dive into the topics, I just would like to add a few more comments on the episode.
Please
First
do.
of all, I really want to give Carrie an applause for this episode because I think she's quite down to earth and reasonable this time.
Yeah.
I think every other girl is kind of losing it a little bit because they all got a little bit, I think, carried away with the article and the fear of staying alone and went further than they would normally go. But
Yeah.
she really, throughout the whole episode, was like kind of carrying them through it and also
Sure, grounded.
showing them. Yeah, like she's usually the one that is losing it, but I feel like in this episode it was the other way around, where she was the, I don't want to say rational because rational is not always good, but
No.
staying, realistic and true to herself rather than
Yeah.
letting herself carried away by the external pressure. So I really, really like that. And second thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but when she and young Bradley Cooper, they were both wasted and they left in a car. So he was
Yeah.
driving
Reckless.
with her in the car. And I was
Reckless.
like, whoa, that... Like, would that even be a thing these days? I don't know.
Oh, it definitely is. People do drink and drive. It's horribly unsafe, but they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I mean, like,
no.
they do in general, but I mean, like, there is one thing where you had, like, one or two glasses, and the thing is, they were both wasted.
Wasted. Yeah. No, I think, like, there were a lot of judgment calls that were not great in that whole thing. It's, like, also her, like, a guy turning her down and being like, well, fuck you. And then, like, her, like, basically, like, Stanford being like, oh, you're doing too much right now, like you gotta go home, and she's like, no, like I'm gonna stay and have fun. There's just a lot that like snowballed, I think, into that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, like,
they were falling over people as well.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, if you're that way, it's just reckless to
No, for
take
sure.
a car. And it wasn't even addressed in the episode. It was almost like, oh yeah, and then we draw in a car and stopped to get cigarettes, and I was like, okay. Anyway,
Yep.
but the whole thing, which we kind of already started to talk about, is the fact that she had the whole snowballing effect in a way of validate maybe her own ego or that fear of being alone. And basically getting a one night stand just to feel good about herself and feeling that I'm still pretty, which she actually said to herself as she's waiting for this guy. I'm still desirable. I'm still beautiful. I'm still young.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine. I don't have to be afraid to be alone. And I think it was so raw, but so well depicted how we all, I think, at some point get to these fears, or the fears get to us, I should rather say.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the whole premise of this episode is it better sometimes to fake it, or in some of the instances with the girls, settle down than staying alone? So yeah, I think what will be good is to start with interview questions and answers that they did in the episode. I love these. I wish that they kept doing this in every episode. I think it is very fresh.
I think it's because like the writers changed later
Yeah,
on because you know sometimes they switch writers like for each episode and that's where like it changed a little bit I think.
I know. But anyway, we got lucky, and this episode has again the interviews on the streets, and the
Yeah.
answers, of course, are very different, hilarious. So one woman says, well, the question obviously is the one that is the main question of the episode. And her answer is, we were really compatible except one thing. He liked thin, blonde, waspy type. So I am single. As a result, next one is, I think my wife is an idiot. Every day with her feels like a trip to an idiot island. I don't tell her how I feel. I'm pretty sure she would leave.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then there is the woman who's like, I don't even know sign language, so like we just know
yeah,
that.
she was basically dating someone who was deaf, and she was like, yeah, I basically don't know the sign language.
Yeah.
Which was really, that was a little bit painful.
I feel like also somebody would notice.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's for, but I was like, I hope this doesn't happen in real life, because it's
Yeah.
really shitty.
Oh no, for sure, for sure, for sure. One of the questions though, like
Well, I think it kind of started from the article, right?
well, if I would take it back a little bit, starting with their fun night out, like really living life, seizing the moment, like clearly creating memories together, which I think was very nice and wholesome. And then they make the like toast of "Here's to us without men," which is such an
Oh,
interesting thing because they were all like so hurrah, and like, that
yeah.
felt so nice. And then Charlotte's like, "No, I'm not toasting that. Like that's bad luck,"
I
which
think
is so Charlotte.
Samantha said something very, very powerful, and I don't know whether it was in this time or it was after they were in the
I think it was
cafe, but
this one.
she said basically, oh honey, you have to learn how to be by yourself even if you are with a man, which is such a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah,
And this doesn't mean that it's only applicable to men. I mean, it's like generally, you need to learn how to be with yourself, even if you're in a relationship.
for sure.
And I mean, Samantha has been giving some wisdom
Always nuggets of wisdom from Samantha. But that's like
until her
that's the point.
commitment issues sneak in and she freaks out.
It's hard being a strong, independent woman and then being expected to commit. You know, it's hard. But that's what I'm saying. So like that was the interesting like dynamic between like here's to us without men, which is just, like an empowering thing of it's great to be who you are. And I think I even sent you a reel on Instagram, I think yesterday or something, about like someone who was giving a toast at a wedding and it was an older woman who's been married for years and it was something along the lines of remember who your friends are, remember who is like the community that you build around yourself, even like if you are in a marriage or a relationship, because I think we've brought this up a number of times. So don't forget who you are and who those day ones with you are, because those are the kind of people that will stay with you regardless the relationship or the marriage, well, either way, right? But then, yeah, we jump into the actual article and then like I think all of their insecurities and hidden fears come out and that's when we start projecting and like discuss of the ethics of faking an orgasm.
Yeah, I mean, let's leave that as a separate discussion
Okay.
topic, um, and more focus on this. I feel like,
Fair.
or I divided these two as two
Yeah.
separate to talk about. Yeah, I think the premise here is, is it worth to fake it? Have you ever done something on this in this regard where you felt that you were behind, or you didn't want to be alone, so you stayed with someone, or you kept seeing someone because it was better than being alone? I guess
I
that's
think
the
so.
main
I think
point here.
I don't I feel like everyone has to a degree, right? It's like it's similar to trying on a pair of shoes, or like buying a pair of shoes and convincing yourself you're gonna break them in, they're gonna fit you one day, but then really they weren't your size and they keep on giving you blisters. It's like to me, it's like that kind of analogy. And like I've tried on, I hate to say like guys are like a pair of shoes that you try on, but it's true. Like you try to see if the relationship or dynamic with the person will work. Because ultimately, I think we are. Again, I don't want to say that everyone has to be in a relationship. They don't, but I think we are biologically wound in a way that we do value partnership. We do like having someone
Yeah.
around. And so like
We are social creatures.
we are, exactly.
So,
And so like and that's why I'm saying it shouldn't be more valuable that you have this one partner and they're like destined for your life. I think it's great to have a partner, but I think it's also great to have like a community of like your friends. But in that case, I do think that I have like felt that in a time in my life that I was like, I really would love a relationship right now. And then I do try maybe going on too many dates with someone that I think I could eventually like, but it's just not there from the start. But I've also had it in the past that like I know this person likes me and I really think they're nice and kind, even though we might not have had chemistry from the start, but eventually it gets there. I've had success with that sometimes too, but I think that's also rare. Like,
I mean, because for me they're like two different things. So
okay,
I'm gonna maybe not challenge you, but explore
please do.
explore a little bit more. And what do you mean here? Because I feel
Okay.
like I I agree with what you said in terms of I want to explore whether this makes sense or
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with my voice today. Apologies.
the pollen,
Yeah, probably.
the hay
I'm
fever.
basically falling apart. Basically, I am happy to explore whether this has potential. If I'm still in like very early stages and I am not sure because I don't know the person that much, that's one thing. And I have done that. I mean, I think that's normal evolution of any relationship that you
Sure.
just want to know and learn more about the person. And then there's
Yeah.
a second thing where you're like, you know, deep down or maybe even higher up in the layers that it's not gonna be the guy or the person. Like you know,
Yeah.
but you just
Yeah.
keep seeing them and keep running the scenario because you don't want to
Stringing
be
them
alone.
along.
Yeah, and these are, in my opinion, two very different ways. In one, you are like, I don't know, and I want to know and explore. In the other one, you are like, yeah, I know this is not work out, but I would prefer this over being alone.
Wow, she's
So
exposed
my
me.
question, yeah, it's like, which of these two were you referring to?
I've done both. I think in the first case where it's like, yeah, it's still early on to tell, that's where it's been successful. In the second case, if like, yeah, from the start, I knew deep down inside this would never pan out. And that
How
I did
long?
stay for.
How long did you? I mean, you can choose to not answer. I mean, it's an
Which
interesting thing
time?
to know. You can choose.
Um,
I'm putting you under the spotlight, so
no, like I think, yeah, there was a time that I was seeing someone for almost like a year on and off because like I like, it's a long time, right? So like because I think I liked spending time with them, but I knew long term it would never ever work. But because I did like the gratification of comfort and that security and having someone around was nice. But I ultimately knew like I'm also fine on my own. But it's just I like attention. I love being
I mean,
loved.
who doesn't? No, like the attention from one person. I mean, not like public
Yeah.
attention
Oh
necessarily.
no, for sure. Yeah. It's again it and unfortunately I think in my case it's like it's fine to have a relationship that's only supposed to last a given period of time. Like, not every relationship is meant to be forever, I don't think, actually.
Oh,
Like,
I
specifically if you think like your younger
wholeheartedly agree.
relationships, like you're not always meant to marry your first love.
I don't
Like,
think you are
they play a
in
role
most
in your
of the
life.
cases.
Well,
It
sometimes
would
it
be
works. Rarely, but sometimes.
yeah, but I think it's an edge case rather than
The
the
typical
normal.
case? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
I I also would not want to marry the first person that I was in a serious relationship, because I didn't know who I was or what I like, what I don't
Okay, so
like.
my
And
ultimate fairy tale, though, is to marry my first love, but like have dated people in the middle to like learn who I am and then come back to them. Isn't that a great fairy tale?
good luck.
Am I still delusional?
I mean, I support anyone who is delusional in 2025. I see, and I mean, there were a lot of stories I've heard where people were together, then they, took
Sure.
some years to date around, do their own life, and then they eventually came back together. So yeah, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
goal.
Sure,
I will
sure.
be supporting you. And I don't think it's about it. It's more that you can't know what is good and what is not good if you only
Yeah.
been with one person.
100%. Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
You don't
And
have enough practice. Truly.
exactly. And also there will be some moments where you will not be your best self and
Yeah.
you will hurt people. And I mean, you can go through this with one person. That's not what I'm trying to say. But sometimes, as you said, some people are not meant to stay in your life, but they are there to show you something or to teach you something.
100%.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and honestly, I think that the best lessons or the most important lessons were from the relationships that were rather difficult or that didn't, there were some pain and hurt done because you will remember, I think, much more these lessons than the ones that were like, oh yeah, so we're together, and then one day we're like, maybe we are not really compatible romantically, but we are friends and we stayed friends. I think
Yeah.
it's more like where it was quite intense and you had to heal or had to understand what went wrong. And maybe you also saw yourself in your worst moments and you were like, okay, I don't want to ever be in that again, or I don't want to ever make someone feel that way again.
Yeah. That's fair. How about you though? Have you stayed in a relationship even though like for the purpose of just being in a relationship rather than seeing yourself with that person?
Yeah, so I don't want to say, absolutistically that is the case, because I might have in when I was younger,
Yeah.
I think I was a little bit reckless when it came to relationships, and I was just like enjoying more the moment rather than thinking about future necessarily. But I would say I would not. I don't think I stay with someone just so I don't have to be alone. It was either that I want to be with that person or then I cut them off. I'm usually quite straightforward. I either like you, and if I like you, I genuinely want to spend time with you and I'm interested,
Yeah.
or you irritate me. And
I love your directness.
and then
Either
I'm
I like
like,
you or please leave because you piss me off.
yeah, and then I'm like, Jesus Christ, how the hell do I get out of this? And the biggest problem for me was that sometimes I was thinking like, how do I do this so I don't hurt that person? And I do this
Right.
gently, because I can be quite intense when something is irritating me, and if it's a person, I can't stand them. Like I just be like, I want to be out of this situation and like,
Yeah.
have my own peace. So I don't think I can be with someone just, I mean, if they don't satisfy me enough, just so I'm not
Yeah.
alone. I would rather be alone than with someone that is not giving me everything I need. And as a result, I feel like I could have spent my time much better than be with this person.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that.
I have no clue where is this coming from, but yeah. I definitely did the first version though, where I would like explore for a very long time, and maybe the other person was more into me than I was into them, and then at some point I was like, yeah, I don't think, there's anything more from my side. But there was never the
Yeah.
intention of keeping it going just because I don't want to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
No,
the
I've also been like this
difference
sharp. Yeah, yeah, go for it.
the only difference for me was when I was in committed relationship, and sometimes not sometimes, you will always at some point run into an issue, and I try to address it and work on it rather than, well, I did both, but towards my older years, I try to work on it than just leave. But I wouldn't necessarily define this as I was sticking with something even though I knew it's not gonna work out.
Fair. Fair, fair, fair. No, like I've also kind of been a Charlotte in the sense that like I might explore something because I might sit and wonder if someone is right there in front of me. Am I missing something? Am I missing something that's like right passing me by? In that case, like it, I value Charlotte's effort in exploring it, being like, is there something there? And then the moment she realized there's not something there, she let him go.
Yeah, but
And,
there's always like there must be some kind of initial attraction or interest, right? Like you wouldn't just
no,
be
but
like,
sometimes
"Oh,
like
this person likes me. I have zero attraction to them towards them, but let's try." Like, can you do that?
no, I think you can because like sometimes when you're like almost childhood friends, you've never seen that person as like had any romantic thoughts about them, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, they've been here this whole time, and if I've been missing something, and maybe that's like Charlotte's case, like this guy has been like around in her building, he's been like helping her out here and there, and like I get that she was vulnerable and she was kind of like in her fear of being alone, and maybe that like exacerbated a little bit more. But I think there are sometimes moments of like, hey, am I just like obsessing over this idea of an ideal guy, or is this a perfectly nice guy right in front of me that clearly like cares about me? Which I think is
No.
a hard thing. No, okay, never mind. That's just me.
No, sorry. Like I have this tendency to say no if I don't think it applies to me, and I'm just gonna be like, no. What I wanted to say is this wouldn't work.
This wouldn't work on
let's
you.
let's let's put the therapy layer on this. This wouldn't work with me because I if it's not there, it's not there for me. Like I can't.
So it has to be there from day one. Like it can't ever
No,
grow
it's
on
not.
you.
It no. There are definitely moments where it grew. No, how many times am I gonna say no in this 1 minute?
She
There
just
were
admits everything.
exactly. There were a lot of relationships that were quite strong, which started from initial of there was nothing from my side, and then as we started to get to know each other more and more, I would genuinely start to develop, more and more feelings and romantic feelings in the end. But it was coming from within myself. I
Okay.
never had this, oh, this is a nice guy. Maybe I'm just striving for too much. That to me sounds like I'm settling down. And I don't think it's ever a good idea to settle down for something or someone
Yeah.
because you'll never truly be happy and you will always, not always, but I think you will be mean and not nice to that person as a
Or
result
you
because
wouldn't
you
appreciate them as much as you would have if you like initially
exactly.
liked them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. I would never push it forward if I didn't feel I want to, and it was
Yeah.
just, oh, maybe this is a nice guy that has been here for this whole time, and I'm just trying to look for impossible. That doesn't
Makes
sound like a
sense.
good recipe to me. Is that
Yeah.
the case for you? That's why I negate you.
No, okay,
No.
but then like it brings up the point of like because Carrie was like, is being alone the same thing as being a modern? And it's like there is a degree of, and I think this is probably not rightfully so, but people
I need
at
to search
least
what leper is. I wanted to do it
it's an
before and I forgot.
it's like an illness. But anyways, like people do have almost pity for you, and it comes from like I think older generations. For example, like my grandma, who I love her to death, called me on my birthday, and I was like, oh my god, like happy birthday, wishing you like all the best. Sent me cute messages, sent me like cute little flower emojis and everything else. We called, had a really nice chat. And she was asking me about my birthday plans, and she was like, "Is there anyone that's like special in your life?" And I think like the fact that I tell her like in the past 3 years I've not been like in a serious relationship, so the past 3 years I've been telling my grandma, no, I don't have anyone special in my life, and I almost feel like she's disappointed and kind of sad for me, even though like I don't think she realizes that like I'm actually living a really cool life, right? It's like I have a cool, stable job that I really enjoy. Like I have the capability to travel and see my friends around the world, which I think if I was settled down with a family and kids right now, it would have been really hard to do. And so like I'm doing all these things that actually bring me so much joy, but like there is a degree of pity from, I think, older family members that comes of like, oh, why is she still single? Like it's almost
It's
something's wrong.
also, I think it feels very cultural, or at least in
Sure,
our
maybe
cultures, is it's
the
almost
expectation to get
like
married.
that's the whole goal of your life. And I get it, there when they were our age, that was literally what they had to achieve. Because I
Yeah,
mean, there were no traveling opportunities, job market. I mean, when
yeah.
did they could start voting?
Hey,
Also, it was like
we're
very
about to enter the
late.
Great Depression, so
Yeah, but
you say
the
economic
point
market
is,
turn.
the point is, she's coming on this from her perspective, where she is like, this was what I felt my value in life was.
So
And so,
generational fear?
yes, no, it's not generational feel. It's more
It
like
might be.
generational lens.
Yeah, but it's also like maybe it's because she's seeing my life from her perspective, being like, if I was in
Exactly.
her shoes at her age right now, I would have that fear.
But the thing is, she doesn't know how it is to live, in your
Yeah,
20s today, because she didn't live through it. And our
fair.
lives are much more complex, and there's much more happening, and you have much more other areas where you can excel and develop.
Evolve into,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And I think like the whole point is, do you feel, and this is starting to be a, a therapy session, but why not? Do you feel happy? And
I
if you
am. I think
say,
overall, like,
yeah. And if you say, no, I actually want that person in my life because that is what's gonna, contribute to me feeling fulfilled, that's
they're
one
two
thing.
separate things though, right?
No,
There's like
I mean,
the degree
there are
of
some
being
people
happy
who,
on your own, and then there is also like, hey, I met someone cool and they might like make my life cool too, right? I don't think
oh
they're
yeah,
mutually exclusive.
they should not, but I think that the extent to which you need one or the other both differs per person. That's what
Okay,
I'm trying
fair,
to
for
say.
sure.
There will be there will be people who will very much need someone else in their life to feel like fully happy and fulfilled in their life. And then there are
Hmm.
people who actually don't need this like other person at all. And I think like majority is somewhere in the middle. But I think
Yeah.
it's a scale, and towards which end you are is purely on how you feel and what you think you need in order to feel happy. And that's, I think, the most important conclusion of all of this ridiculously long monologue I have. That even if other people ask you or tell you what is right or wrong, you know. And if you say, actually, it makes sense, like I do want to have someone by my side because I do feel more contempt with my life. I don't know if that's the right word. And it
No,
does
sorry.
make me happy, like share my life with someone else, which honestly, it is the case for me. I can do it on my own, totally, but I'm just like, it's much nicer to share it with someone else. So I do want to have that person by my side that I will grow with and help to, you know, part on their individual journey, and they do that to me. But we also grow as a unit.
Yeah.
Um, so I
No,
kind
I'd
of
agree.
feel both are true.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, because I think it's in that sense, and I think that's maybe the nice takeaway from this episode, and not to jump to the conclusion, but like,
We should probably, by the way, it's like an hour almost.
I know, we're getting there, we're getting there. I also wanted to bring up the topic of
Oh
Samantha getting
yeah,
stood
yeah, yeah.
up. Like, have you
I
ever been
know.
stood
I'm
up on a
sorry.
date?
We also
Don't
still
skip over
haven't.
Samantha. Her feelings are valid.
This literally, I had 3 topics per this episode, which is, um, Jesus. Is it better to be fake it than to be alone? The faking of orgasm and then being stood up. Like these are the 3 things that I wrote down, and I don't think I managed. Apparently split wise,
Okay.
but quickly moving on your question, have I ever been stood up? No, I have never been stood
Have
up.
you stood someone up before?
I have not, because I think it's very shitty, but I definitely cancelled on the last moment. I just was not in mood of meeting random people, probably,
Yeah,
so I didn't
that's
care,
fair.
and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna. But not only romantically, sometimes I would just cancel people because I feel like, yeah, I'm not feeling like socializing. So what about you?
Say both. I don't think I've been stood up before. No. Have I stood up someone? No, I'm just usually really late, as you all know.
Yeah, actually, I can confirm that.
Time gets away from me. I'm sorry for everyone for every single time I've been late and for all the future times that I'll be late. It's not personal. I'm trying to work on it. Um, but yeah, no, okay.
Choose
That
your
topic.
country wisely then, you know? Because some countries actually follow this pattern a lot, like Spain.
I Yeah, I mean they're always late in Spain, but then we have all of our like German and Nordic
Germany.
friends.
Yeah.
We love our German friends. They're always on time. I always feel bad. I hope none of them hate me. But anyways, okay, we
Um,
gotta talk about faking orgasms.
yes, I
He
know,
wants to
I
know.
know.
All right, is it ethical?
No, that's not the question we start with. Have you ever faked it? That's the question we started with. Or
Hasn't everyone?
what is the take?
Well,
That's
I don't think I
literally
have. Okay, so
that's literally what I wrote.
I
who,
think
who
my
hasn't?
general under education on it because like I didn't realize it was such a performative art. So I don't think I really have.
You haven't.
I don't. No, not that I can remember.
Okay, this can mean two things. Either you have never achieved it, or
No, I have, but it's not been fake.
that's good for you, honestly. Or you just chose wisely.
Yeah, my friends like to make fun of me and they're like, ah, she's been chosen. But anyways, no, I don't think I have. I have
She's been
heard
chosen. This should be a Patreon episode, then. We don't have any, but maybe this is the time.
No, I once was telling my friend a story and she's like, wow, she's God's favorite. And I was like, am I? I don't know about that. Because the rest of it.
I agree because I definitely did fake it for sure.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Is it because, like, it just felt like it was needed? Like,
Oh, okay, how do I
was it a
put this?
Miranda situation that, like, he was trying so hard? Because, like, in Miranda, first of all, the guy from Miranda's episode, he actually has his own separate show. It's called Royal Pains. Excellent show. He's a lot hotter in the other show. Here, he's, like, a little, I think, under.
Chubby?
He's not chubby. He's just, like, I think, new to acting.
Oh,
Yeah, but he has a
okay.
separate show, which is very good. But anyways, besides the point, like I think Miranda, and we saw it later on. Like first she was like faking, it, and then she like the whole conversation of like, "Are you like okay?" Because like every other girl has been successful at it. Was hilarious, and I think that was so on point of being like, "You think I'm the problem?" It's like you don't even know where my
Yeah.
clitoris is.
No, I think like 95% of women that have faked it never told the guy. So there is a delusional area, the whole delusional part of going on where they think that they have done the job, but they actually have not.
Yeah,
Which,
under
that's,
education, in my
yeah,
understanding,
like that's strict number one. And then
we're
second
keeping
thing is
men delusional.
is it our fault at the end of the day? Is this the conclusion that they are like that because we keep them delusional? Don't say that.
I think we should get feedback directly.
Listeners, do you think that men are delusional because we actually keep
No,
them that way?
only for that portion of the
Oh.
job.
Okay, scrap this, scrap this. I did not say anything. Men are amazing.
They're fine. Just kidding. I love everyone so much. But yes, please continue. You were saying, like, why do women feel the need to fake it?
Keep it political. I mean, diplomatic. Um. Anyway, second thing I liked is that he asked for tips. I really like that. It's an approach that everyone should take in general. If you are not good at something, having that being an orgasm or whatever else, don't feel like a failure. Instead, try to learn. I love that. And just for that, I would also try to work on it. Now, if it's not gonna work, I would do the same thing that Miranda did, probably, which is ghosting.
Well, she gave him an A for effort. This is such an American approach.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
no,
you at
no.
least
But
have to
like,
get participation award.
I really liked how she handled it, honestly. Like, at some point, if you cannot help, or they cannot be helped, you just need to cut it off. But, like, you also don't want to hurt them because they did try. So I
Yeah,
would
no, like
probably do the
I
same.
it'd be good to encourage, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And I do agree that it's not easy.
sure, sure.
Especially
Women are a
when,
little bit more complicated than that. Like,
yes, and I think especially when it's an organ you don't have, it's hard to
yeah,
imagine and understand how it works or what works and what doesn't. And I think like it is more difficult with women than with men overall. We are just more delicate. So I understand why many women fake it. At the same time, I understand why it might not be as straightforward. And there
yeah.
should be actually some kind of guidance. Is there? Maybe there is. There
Well,
definitely
so
is.
I don't know if there are articles out there. I have, funny enough,
Yeah,
when I
G
was seeing a
Spot.
guy, I sent him an article just as a joke, but he took it very seriously, which I thought was A for effort again.
Wait, you like how long have we been seeing each other?
How long were we seeing each other? I would say we were like seeing each other for 4 or 5 months at that point.
Okay, that's
It's like
fair.
seeing each
I
other.
thought it was
Yeah.
like initial conversations. You were like, so
Dropping tips, just so heads up.
I don't want to be obvious, but just by the way,
You should study
useful.
up, you know.
Yeah, it will be
um,
useful in any regard, not
but that's the
just
thing is
only
like
in this
the
conversation.
under education honest, like I was talking to my friend about it and she's like, yeah, once I was like hooking up with a guy and he made a comment of like, oh wow, your like clitoris is so big, and then she's like, you idiot, that's my labia. It's like just the biology of it.
Okay, to be completely honest, I don't know exactly what Libya is,
Oh my god, you gotta do a biology class on this. Okay, maybe I'll send
but maybe,
everyone the articles now, guys.
maybe it's a language barrier here.
It might be. It might be. It depends on where you learn biology, because this is like high school biology 101.
Yeah, no, not
Um,
English speaking
okay, well,
country.
anyhow.
So I'm just
Um,
gonna say that it's a language barrier.
okay, yeah, it's hard. But no, it was just funny that, like, well, he was, as, you know, a language speaker, couldn't identify the difference between the clitoris and the labia, on a girl, and then, like, had, like, it's also just weird to make a comment about it, like, and then you're just
Yeah,
wrong. It just makes you look like an idiot.
man, do
Um,
better. This is effort. It's all about
it's all about
wanting.
effort.
Exactly. Like, take an
And
example
I
from
know
this guy
intimacy is,
who.
like, awkward, but, like, just do better.
But, question to kind of close this discussion point is she eventually broke up with him because he couldn't make her come. Do you think that's a reason that is legitimate?
I don't think she broke up with him just because of that, personally, actually.
Yeah,
I
okay,
genuinely,
that's totally
I
good
think there
point.
was nothing else there. Because I think
Yeah.
if that's literally the only thing, that's actually something that can be worked on, right? Because at that point, she would have more sympathy for him and more time and effort to spend on working on that portion of it. If there was something else to cling on to, and I don't think there was anything else to cling on to.
Good
Like, it
point.
was a hookup. Let's be honest.
You
And
dodged the
the fact that,
question with grace.
sorry.
I gave you that. No, it's a great answer. It's actually true.
Yeah, but would you? But if somebody actually, like, that's a good question. Like, hypothetically, if everything was great in a relationship except for like they could make you come, like, would you break up with him?
Um,
Or they
I
weren't willing to put in the effort? Let's say, like, I understand, like, you love a growth mindset, but if they were like, I'm not trying this any harder than I already have.
in the context we're talking about, it's quite funny to put it in these business terms, but sure. um, I think it wouldn't be the reason to break up. I think it would be more like if the whole physical relationship would not be working, then yes. But
Yeah,
if it's just about orgasm specifically, I think there are ways around that you can make it work.
for sure.
Um, so I don't think so, no.
Agreed. Yeah, I would say the same thing, honestly, because it's like it's one piece of the puzzle, the larger puzzle. I think it's one of those things that can be worked on and improved on, and it's also like there are other ways of achieving it. So,
Exactly. Like having a
yeah.
third person to join you.
I like how she's
Joking.
like, can't have an orgasm, we must have a threesome.
Yeah, it's either or both.
That's like the next best thing, right? God. Okay.
So you can't make me come. So I have a solution. Let's just have a third person to join us. This friend of mine, I know he can do it. I have
We just
evidence.
talked about threesomes, and we talked about how you shouldn't be someone that you know. she's
Well,
she's
well,
throwing her learning
well.
us out the door. Anywho, all right, are we
You
ready for our
know,
conclusion?
yes. Let's do that. Let's cut me off here because I'm just gonna be
Uh,
saying stupid stuff, and we don't want that. So answer, because
okay,
Elizabeth is
let's
a
go
big
through the
fan of
last
Carrie's
scene.
answers.
Well,
No, I think that, but answer
this
I
one
think
actually.
came much earlier than that.
Sure, I think it was sprinkled throughout, which is fine. I'm okay with that as long as it's a valid answer to the question. That's my only argument. I don't care where it comes in the episode. Just Carrie, please answer your own questions.
Oh my god.
um.
At this
Okay.
point, I'm enjoying your commentary on the conclusions that Carrie gives.
I just want to set the scene. At the very last bit of the episode, it's Carrie sitting outdoors in a lovely sunny New York afternoon, having a glass of wine on her own without a hobby or anything else. So she's saying that, like, yeah, at the end of the day, you don't need to have anyone or be in a relationship in order to like enjoy yourself, and you are fabulous. And you also don't have to give yourself an excuse to go sit outside. Like, you don't need a hobby or something else to, not make yourself feel alone or like be pitied by anyone. Like, you can just go out and do it. Like, that was the sense that I got, that like it's better to be alone than to fake it in general. Would you agree?
There it
Wow.
is.
She That was the most anticlimactic conclusion of them all.
I didn't expect the fireworks. I just thought I will have thumbs up, but better. No, yeah, she I believe she actually said this when Samantha was leaving the restaurant after she realized that she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to leave with the Pakistani guy that worked at the restaurant. The literal words were, sometimes it's better to be alone than to fake it. And my take was, it's always better to be alone than to fake it. So totally agree with the conclusion. And then, yeah, the final scene was, I think, more about Carrie showing that she needs to face this fear, and instead of avoiding it, she directly approached it and took it for lunch. To understand it's not that bad at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
I think it was great. The only thing I had was like, that looked like a very fancy restaurant, and knowing Carrie
Which is
is not
fine.
financially that great,
It's girl math. You don't need to make it make sense.
I was like, I would probably choose, I don't know, or like just go for coffee there. But she, do you?
She
You
just
do
had some
you.
glass of wine. Yeah, like, I mean, girl
I mean,
math.
she literally
I also
said
shouldn't be
she's
offended
going
at.
to, she's going for lunch. So if wine is lunch, then maybe that was in
That's girl
in the
lunch.
90s. Okay.
Girl lunch.
So who am I then? A hybrid?
I don't. Sure, sure. You're just a little more sensible. I think that's super brave because I literally had the same scenario yesterday as I was waiting because for my friends we had a reservation at 1:30 and I really wanted to show up on time. Shocking. I know. But I did show up on time and I
New year, new
always
me.
have to. No, because like I have this thing of like I have to bring something. It's either my notebook, it
Hmm.
has to be a book, some sort of craft because I get anxious and I hate looking at my phone when I'm just like sitting waiting for something or someone or also transportation. Like I'm actually like super self-conscious about like sitting there like on my phone because I think everyone, if you look around like in London on the tube on a given day, everyone's on their phones.
Oh my
And so like
god. Like,
I have anxiety, not anxiety around that, but I just like I don't want to be that person. But I also hate sitting there in awkward silence with myself and my beverage and the waiter. Like I feel like they have pity on you. And so like the fact that she's like it's okay to go on a afternoon, have a glass of wine on your own and not do anything and just like chill.
girl, you should switch roles with me for one day. Honestly.
Are you just comfortable
Because
sitting there with your own mind?
My mind is going like 300, and
So is
I'm
mine.
like,
Just sprinkle a little more
I'm
anxiety in there, and then you got mine.
I'm usually distracting myself with the phone, so I'm not completely consumed with my mind. But I actually love the moments where I can go on the phone. Like, you mentioned the tube. The other day I was going in the tube, and in a central line you don't have a signal, so I couldn't be
Yeah.
on my phone. I was listening to music, and you know what? I was like, this is great because I was literally people watching. I was like looking at the
But
people
you're
in front of
listening to
me.
music.
Yeah,
Like,
but I'm
there's something
uh,
there.
okay. Well, I can do it without the music as well. Sometimes I would walk
So
without
impressive.
anything, and I love when I am like, I never had anxiety because for me it's usually like,
So
Jesus, can you just
nice.
like chill the fuck down and just chill and just be present, because usually I'm not. Like, I'm usually somewhere else, and then
Yeah.
I'm trying to manage that. So
Yeah. We
I
might
have
have a
never
whole
had
episode on
time.
this. I'm not kidding. Because, like,
Yeah.
that's, I
Like,
think, in our.
me feeling anxious, I would first need to, manage my own thoughts before I can go there and be like, oh, maybe this is awkward. I'm
Yeah.
like zoom out. No, zoned out
Yeah.
completely. Or or I'm just staring too much probably at people.
I'm telling you, that's rare.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Let's switch minds for a day. I think I would
A little Freaky
enjoy a little
Friday
bit of
moment.
break. Maybe I will be anxious for a day, but I will not be overthinking or
But,
analyzing everything.
yeah. I mean, again, I'm telling you, this could be a whole separate episode because one of the things that I'm trying to be better is even like when I walk my dog, I can actually be tuned in the moment because, like, I don't know what this is, and it must be like a past childhood thing of like, I always have to be doing something, or like,
Mm.
I make myself feel horrible for not being productive. And I think maybe it is just like that hyper productivity thing that's been like ingrained in like how we were like raised in school, how we were raised in the workplace, and like,
It's also lifestyle
it's
these days.
it is, and I think it's
You're
frowned down upon to not do
overstimulated.
anything. Yeah, 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 no, 100%. And that's one of the things that, like, I again this year want to get so much better at is like focused. And that's actually I have something I've only really realized when I started to learn how to drive. Because in that case, you have to only
Mm,
drive. You can maybe have a
yeah.
conversation with the person next to you, but you have to be hyper focused on that. And I was like, I realized I was like, whoa, like I haven't done this for years. Like I haven't had that single line of focus because I'm always like multitasking at the same time. It's like I'm always at work and on a Zoom call, answering their questions, having a conversation, answering emails in the back, or like sending messages in the back, parallel conversations because I have to do things during the day. Like the
No, I
comment that you made of like
agree.
my calendar being full, and you're like, when do you get work done? And I was like, I have to get work done while I'm on those calls.
I mean, your calendar looked insane, and I'm happy I don't have it. At the same time, I totally agree with what you said. I love driving. For me, it's meditation because it's just me and the music, or me and my
Yeah,
thoughts. And I don't have to do anything. But for me, it's any type of exercise. When I run,
yeah, that's
especially
true. Boxing
skiing,
the same way.
skiing for me is like I switch off incredibly during that week. I am like completely off, and it
Yeah.
always has such a healing effect on me. I don't know. So yeah, I get it.
Are
There
you just
are
telling me I have to
reasons,
take vacation?
huh?
Are you just telling me that I have to take vacation?
Well, have you?
I mean, but the thing is, my vacation is also like you've seen me on vacation. It's like it's hyper overloaded. Like we're gonna go do the next thing. Then we have this plan. They have to go see this
Yeah,
person.
maybe. I think we should probably, um, slowly close the episode down
Sure,
because
we're
we are
now just chatting.
derailing.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We have our conclusion. We've closed the episode. We are actually happy with the conclusion, I believe. Yes, confirm that.
I mean, I am
What?
usually happy. You are the one who is more grumpy about conclusion. So if you're happy,
I'm
we are
not
happy.
grumpy. I just like answers to my questions, okay? I
I
don't like this
still,
wishy-washy thing of like I had a big question but now Big kissed me so I don't need to answer it.
I
That's
still think
lazy.
you should write them a letter, being like, listen, I've been watching this after 30 years after it aired, and some things are not right.
But that's also girl brain. Like we get distracted so easily. Hee hee hee.
All right,
Because
it's
that's also
true.
me. All right. Anyways, Our next episode will be episode 5, and I forgot the name of it. I'm gonna look it up quickly because we need to understand what we're gonna be talking about next time. Do you remember? Have you watched it?
I have no clue.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, it's gonna be. Oh, and it started to play. 4 women in a funeral. That's a little depressing.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't remember this one. I do remember them going to a funeral, but I don't remember what it was for.
Well, I remember some bits and pieces. It's about fashion show and funeral, and then Charlotte dating a guy who uses funeral to meet women, basically.
That's true.
But
Anyways,
this was all for today. Thank you everyone for listening to us, and we'll see you next week again.
at a funeral.
Yeah. We are already dressed for it, so.
True. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye bye.